Good afternoon. Right, I'm hoping my internet and my computer survive this because I had problems with both recently. I can see I look a bit spotty already, but maybe that's the background remover on my camera. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I have had computer issues which have got fixed supposedly, but my computer did collapse last time I did a stream and just went blue screen of death and switched itself off. And in the last 2 days I've also had issues with my internet, which I'm hoping is just the rain. It's been okay today, so I'm braving it. But yeah, that would drop out halfway through in the middle of doing something at random yesterday and the day before, so hopefully we won't have any problems. The famous last words. I don't want to talk too much about Bitcoin, Ether and the market as a whole because I haven't looked at it enough, and I could have sworn I updated my Bitcoin and Ether charts for the annual and monthly levels and stuff, but they seem to have disappeared, so I don't know if that was at one point when the computers crashed and they haven't saved. Anyway, we're getting a bit of a retracement now. Nothing to be massively alarmed about as such. Bitcoin did make a 3-week demand, which it's just hit. Ether I'm slightly more skeptical about, but I was just showing these. So I was looking for shorts on these 12-hour supplies, and I think both of them, and Ether also had a 5-day in here, so that wicked through the 12-hour, but did hold the 5-day obviously a bit lower down, and Bitcoin just went and stop hunted the 12-hour, which is not really surprising. But I haven't been on top of the detail. I've kind of left in entries that I've had for a while, and just see what happens when they hit. On the bigger picture, so like I say, we've just got the 3-week demand on Bitcoin here, so don't get too scared for now. My concern and why I don't really want to talk about this now until I've thought about it is there's a lot of misalignment, like you can see that Bitcoin here is looking slightly more, is certainly consolidating and slightly more bearish, whereas you can see that Bitcoin Korea, sorry, the US dollar pair here, and then the Korea pair is looking a bit stronger. It's holding high above the original weekly. It doesn't have the new 3 weekly, but it still is high above the weekly, whereas US dollar pair came right down into the weekly because the dollar was strong, and then bounced, but now has a 3-week demand. And the CME pair is also messy. It has a 3-week demand as well, and has also just tapped into that. On the flip side, US dollar tether pair, I did have a quick look, does have a 2-month demand just up here, but also it's just a bit messy. There's no weekly supply in there. There's a whole mishmash of 4-day and 5-day, and so it's obviously just range bound at the moment, and this is our range, so nothing to be overly concerned about what's happened just now. This is very common just to update you, and actually we saw this at the top, but it's very common, like if we have an up weekend and then an up Monday, it's very common for Tuesday to then take the stops of the highs of Monday and then to come back and take out some of the weekend lows. And we had that exact same thing at the top here. We had, where are we? Oh, this is, well, not massively up, but Tuesday, Wednesday, oh no, sorry, excuse me. So Saturday, Sunday we're in here, went up, Monday went up some more, Tuesday took out the highs, it happened in London session there, whereas it happened in Asia here. Tuesday took out the highs, retest, and then this bigger drop. And it doesn't have to be necessarily massively significant drop, but like this could come down and take out this out. Like I say, I haven't done the details, so I need to think about it. That's, yeah, Bitcoin, and yeah, like I say, so the US dollar dominance pair isn't great. It's just messy, so it's not an easy one to judge. It's on, it's taken stops off the lows here, and it's kind of an odd place it could reverse, but I did preferably want it lower. Ether, kind of similar scenario. Okay, so again, the misalignment is similar here. So on the Korea pair we have a 3-week demand, but the others we don't. So this time it's on Korea but not US dollar. It's a huge zone because of that massive wick we had previously, and then there's messy 4 and 5 days in here. The only thing I was said to be slightly aware of, so while we've got a 5-day demand and we've got 2-day and 1-day inside it, the one thing I just told the group earlier to be aware of is this pattern here. that we had a similar, we made a low, we went up, made a consolidation, and it's kind of like an accumulation, manipulation, distribution. So this is the accumulation, this is the manipulation, and then distribution back down to here. And it was quite similar, it is quite similar to what we have here. Bit of a difference that this has obviously moved higher out of the consolidation than this did. But there is, you know, the structure is similar, and there's a fair chance, you know, with all the stops under here, while they were stop hunted on one of the wicks in here, there's still going to be a significant amount of stops below that consolidation. So it is possible this comes lower, and possible also that we take out the stops here. So I wasn't overly confident of putting longs. I did have a long entry in here as of yesterday, and then I deleted it because I wasn't sure about it. Having now seen we've got the 3-week demand on Korea, maybe it's possible this does make another run. But yeah, like I say, I'm just not across the detail enough to really let's move something then, fib. Yeah, I'm not across the detail enough to make a good judgment on that. The other thing to be aware of on the bear side is that Ether BTC made a monthly supply. So I'll show you the monthly. So by a hair, you know, just closed slightly below that and has rejected off that. So if that were to play out, then we'd expect that to take out the low. The only thing obviously of significance of this is that we're in this bigger 3-month demand that we've been waiting for like a decade. And when, with all the comparisons that I did back to this consolidation that we had in 2019, 2020, it was a similar thing here, slightly different structure because this got to the low quicker and held here from September, whereas the current price action only got there last month. But this also made a monthly supply in here. Maybe I'll hide my drawing so you can see better. So yeah, that would have been a monthly supply there, and it rejected off it on this candle. May or may not have gone lower and taken out that. It depends what order it happened in, but it did reject, but only briefly, but then came straight back through it. So if this 3-month is to hold, then ideally we'd like to sort of see the same here, and we want to see the February candle close strong through this. I think that was a February candle. Yeah. So, and it actually opened at the bottom and then just went up for the entire month of February there. So if we're going to see something similar, that's kind of what we're looking for there. Like maybe a drift down for a bit of January, and like at least with respect to Bitcoin, and then moving up later in January, and then the pump for February. So that's a BTC pair. Don't think there's anything else that I want to say on Ether. Oh, I forgot about that giant triangle. So yeah, we've also hit the giant triangle, so that's also an interesting place to be from a trend line perspective, is hitting this giant triangle. So yeah, like I'm starting to be biased towards longs here, but the supply is telling me that it's not ready yet, and you know, arguably, so we want that green in order from a high time frame perspective. We want the green February candle to be a strong candle, and then we look for the retest March, April, and that's when we get the bigger move. So it's not necessarily something you have to buy immediately, and then we'll see. And then it's at that point that we're probably going to get, let me just check, put the US dollar pair on the chart. Where is it? It's not loading for me, or it's higher. No, the price wouldn't have been up there then. Don't know why it's not loading for me. I did have it so I could see this red circle, because one of my comments previously was that why is this not showing? That's intensely irritating. One of my comments previously was that this can still come down. Sorry, this can still go up with the Ether US dollar pair going down. So I just wanted to see if this actually did coincide with the Ether US dollar pair going up, because I can't recall. But it's not loading for me, just to be super awkward. Let me see if I can add another one. It's not gonna do. Let's try this is Coinbase. Not sure what the difference between this one and that one is. I'm just adding it again. Okay, there's the price anyway. Let's make that log scale. So yeah, you can see sort of in this red box, oh sorry, actually it's probably towards the end of the box now. So if we are in this similar pattern here to 2020, we did get a fall on this from 2019, but that's when we started the run in February 2020. So we do have an up, but it is possible that this goes up and Ether US dollar falls. That is a thing that can happen. So don't necessarily think this means that this is going to that if Ether BTC goes up, that the Ether US dollar is going to go to the moon, because it doesn't have to be the case. It just means it could just mean it falls less than Bitcoin. Anyway, okay, so that's those two, and then one just quick look at others, because if I'm going to be looking at alts, I do kind of want to have a general sense of what TOTAL3 and others are doing. Where are we? So TOTAL3, I think this is probably not going to be much new. Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, well, I have put the 3 months demand in on that, but I haven't apparently put the annual in. So yeah, we can see this has made annual demand here, but it's only swing failed the high, which isn't ideal. And so this is probably going to be the challenge here, that really, if you want for this to be a strong annual demand, you really want the breakout to be significantly higher, and that's not the case here. I mean, it's a huge zone anyway, so obviously I can say it's annual demand, but that doesn't mean it's not going to retrace all the way down to the bottom of it, particularly because essentially this is a large range. So we need to see what happens there. We do also have 3 month demand down here, 2 month inside, so like, yeah, it looks similar to Bitcoin, but just less strong because this breakout is less significant. You can see we've also got a 3 week demand there and a very weak one. So this makes me slightly nervous, actually. We need to see how obviously the next 3 week candle closes. And it's only just closed the current one, so it's got a while before that. But when you see this type of structure, it is entirely possible, and it's a weak 3 week demand. It might get a bounce off the top of it, move slightly higher, and then just drop straight back through it, confirming it back into 3 week supply. So that makes me slightly nervous when it's that weak, but we'll see. Others, I can imagine, is going to be pretty similar. So yeah, again, I think in this case, yeah, so the yearly is higher. So we didn't close a yearly demand on this, closed slightly below. Nor did we close the 3 month, but we still have 2 months demand and 1 month demand down there, which I'd already had previously alerted. So I can see the possibility, it's got the same, so the 3 week demand just by a hair there. But I can see the possibility this gets a retracement down into here, so just be a little bit careful on your alts. And then, as I've said before, we have the bigger risk that this is a bigger picture just in the range. We're now at the top of the range, and that we're potentially going to end up back down the bottom of the range. Okay, so like I said, I don't want to go into too much detail on that. I hope that's enough information for you. Feel free to ask me in the chat if there's anything you want to ask about specifically with that. But as I say, like, I don't really want to give too much advice on Bitcoin and Ether at the moment, because I'm not across them. I will have a quick look at the majors though, because again, but also similarly, I haven't updated these properly for the year-end outcomes either. So we did have some high time frame shorts hit. We had a bunch of shorts hit that failed on these uptrends, which I talked about in the last video. But then we had sort of the major levels hit, and there was decent confluence. This is the old majors. What I do see on these is that we're getting the bounces off, you know, some of them have hit demands, and I think the new majors are a little bit better. These EOS and BCH hit, but both kind of wicked through zones, I think. But what I am seeing is that they haven't done, other than Litecoin, is that we haven't got back into supply on these yet, which does kind of potentially point to another up move on Bitcoin before having potentially that bigger down move. So that's just, again, something to be aware of. Like, I've got alerts, these are out of date, so be careful, but you can watch obviously 5-day supplies I've talked about on most things. Litecoin did have a reaction there, just come higher into the zone, which is fine. You know, it was a large zone. I think I also said on the alert, you know, there was a daily inside it, so it's come up to the daily inside it. Ripple doesn't, or Ripple had 3-day supply, which it's just rejecting now. Ripple is also classic, so as far as, you know, is the whole market ready to do a bit more up? Ripple is very, very classic for having triangle fake outs. So, and I think I said exact same at the bottom. Let me see if I've still got a picture of it, but for Ripple to do this would not surprise me in the slightest. So be careful. And I think I did say the same down here. Let me see if I still have the drawing. Yeah. So, and this was yeah, basically a sort of a triangle fake down, but again, accumulation, manipulation, distribution. So I think I copied this from over here probably, and said there was a fair chance that, so while Ripple was breaking down, it was still in the 3-month demand, and while I was still bearish, and I think it made a monthly supply here as well, so I even put shorts back in again, but it did, yeah, do a sort of classic Bitcoin, Ripple fake down, not so much in a triangle consolidation, but it did a fake down before this big pump. And similar here, like this has done it in triangle form, but again, fake down before pumping up, and it does very classically do it at the highs as well, so just be a bit careful on this. Doesn't have to even do the fake out, could just die if it wants, but be conscious that a fake out could happen, may or may not take out all-time high, but that would be nice to suck all the breakout traders in long, and then potentially drop. New majors, yeah, so similarly here, again we had some longs hit varying times, and I've said previously on all these, like the longs have been hard because we had so much chop on the way up, and there's lots of 3-day, 4-day, monthly, weekly zones, lower down, etc. Set alerts for these 5-day supplies, most of which haven't hit. So we didn't have a hit on Pole. We did have a hit on ADA. We'll get to the others in a minute, but the others all didn't hit, I think. BNB here is holding a weekly demand. Link, I put in an alert here for the 5-day mark demand, and I put it with a slightly a sarcastic comment saying why not long into 3-month supply, i.e. it wasn't a very high probability one, but did give a bit of a move. Pole had a nice reaction, but again hasn't made it to supply, and ADA, yeah, the demand was just choppy, didn't quite get down into that 3-day there, even if I had alerted it. But again, yeah, we have sort of significant ADA. I think I wanted slightly higher at the high. I don't know why I didn't like the 2-week. Maybe it was already tested. Yeah, I think I wanted to take out those stops and was thinking into 3-week supply. So ADA could reject from here. But yeah, I do still have an alert a little bit higher there. Poles in 6-monthly supply. Links in 3-month supply did come up inside it. And then similar here, like DOT, I think this might have wicked through whatever zone I had. Maybe I had a daily or something in there, but it might have wicked a bit higher. And again, hasn't quite made it down to the zone I wanted for longs, but nor has it made it back up for the retest short. Sol did make it back to the 5-day for a retest short, but again, I was a bit more conservative on this because I had it in the weekly. Nice bounce off the weekly demand there that we had alerted, and I've also alerted slightly lower here for the monthly demand, which wasn't quite tested on this. Similar on NEAR, it's in a monthly supply. Atom's also in a monthly, or actually I think it's a monthly inside a 6-month, or maybe a 6-month as well. But there's a 6-month I know on Atom too. Again, has slightly front run this 5-day supply short. Same here on NEAR. You know, both again, this bounced slightly above the alert on the lows. But yeah, so it was just trading these little waves on the majors mostly. But as you can see, sort of there is possibly space on some of these for another run. So we'll see what happens on those over the next few days. Check there's no comments in chat. Live chat, nothing, nobody talking to me today. So yeah, so alts. I mean, I have to, yeah, so I have a ridiculous amount of alts, as most people know. If I go into my main list, which is the blue list, Let's see how many we actually have. So the blue list, I've got 663. There's a few that are doubled up because I have ones that have a longer history, but ones that aren't the main chart. But yeah, I have 663 alts to update for the annual levels and everything, which is why I wanted to get into this quite quickly. I will probably do it in silence. In fact, I will do it in silence because I'm not going to be able to talk this long. I want to be able to play some music while I do it, but yeah, so feel free to watch. I'll try and keep an eye on the chat, so if you want to ask any questions, feel free. I might put a note on the screen to that effect if anybody joins. Yeah, I was going to look at the alerts and see we've got heaps of alerts coming in, and even I've only got 9 this month so far because I'm so far behind now because we had so many things hit. Yeah, that's about all I need to say at the moment, so we're going to just start from the beginning. Start from the A's or the numbers and then the A's and work down, and I'll just see how far I get. I'm 660. I'm probably not going to do that many today because it's already 5 PM, so I'll try and do some today or maybe all the A's, and then I'll have to do multiple streams over the course of the next week or so just to make sure I get them all done, and see how I go. Okay, so yeah, and also say any questions in Telegram, let me know. Any questions here, let me know. Let me just switch off my sound and switch off my camera.